salsa and particularly dancing on the first beat, and I would like to look after the followers. So I will be specifically looking into how to improve your basic step, or the other way called mambo step, the back and forward step, the most important step that keeps you going through the salsa crossbody dance. So I'm gonna give you 5 tips how to improve on these basics. I'm going to be looking at the things that usually people make little mistakes, and also I'm going to give you some tips on how to actually do the step better, so you would actually improve your partner work in many other ways when you dance. I think they are the tips that usually are not told in classes, so I think that will be really useful. So stick around and we can work on literally one of your steps, which is a basic mambo step, which I think will change your life forever. And of course, I would like you to subscribe to my channel, because I am aiming for 10,000 subscribers, and if I get them, I will be very happy. So subscribe to my channel and we're gonna start working on your basic salsa step. If you dance crossbody salsa, the most important thing is to dance in a line. So first, let me show you your basic step. So for the followers, your basic step would be on your right foot, and you would go 1, 2, and 3, and 5, 6, and 7. So now, the most important thing, as I say, is to dance in a line. A lot of the times when you're dancing, you're taking your basic like this. When you take your basic like this, if you notice, my legs, 2 feet have 2 different lines, right? It's like this. If I'm dancing like that, my 2 feet have 2 different lines. That means my body weight is always gonna be shifting slightly side to side, rather than always traveling forwards and backwards, which is the whole cross body technique is based on, okay? So instead of having 2 lines when you're dancing, try to have only 1 line. So my right leg is always behind and in front, and then the left leg in front and then behind. So I am always creating 1 line with my feet, rather than having 2 lines with my feet. Can you see the difference? And immediately when you have 1 line in your basic, it actually naturally gives movement to your hips. Okay, I'll show you from this direction. When you do your basic and you cross over in a line, if you notice my toes are slightly out as well, then you have natural movement in your hips. If you do 2 lines with your feet, your hips do not move. So it's a very, very quick fix in movement and in an actual traveling technique, and even balance if you just learn how to cross in 1 line rather than having 2. My tip number 2, learn how to travel. The back step is always supposed to take you forward, and then the forward step is supposed to take you backwards, okay? Crossbody, you need to know how to travel, because we are traveling through crossbody all the time. So when you're doing your basic step, try to get used to, after taking the first step, the second step, to actually travel a little bit forward. Really pay attention on what I show here. I step back and then I push from the back foot slightly forward. Just a little bit, but it's a forward motion. A lot of the times this happens, and try to see whether you're one of those people as well. Sometimes this happens. 1, 2, 3. So when the basic starts on 1, on 2, usually people move their other leg backwards, because the weight goes backwards, so they move the leg backwards before they go forward. And that's a no-no. That's like, that's like bad, okay? So we want instead the first step to immediately take our balance forward, and then the forward step to immediately take the balance backwards. So we're constantly traveling forwards and backwards, okay? So I'll show that a little bit faster. 1, forward, forward, 5, back, back. 1, forward, forward, 5, back, back. Yes, I'll show you from this direction. So I'm going 1, forward, forward, 5, back, back. And then you get that momentum. So when you get that momentum, you're constantly ready to go to whichever situation you're going to be put in. Tip number 3, we want to always have soft knees. When you're dancing, you want to choose when you straighten your legs. But if it's not a choice, you should always have soft knees. Soft knees does not mean we bend. So we never dance like this. Too much, yes? Take like 5% of what I'm saying. Soft knees means we don't lock them. So we don't want to go on a straight leg. Yes, it becomes a little bit too static. So what we want is to have just nice soft knee situation. So when we're dancing, it's always soft and it keeps us all even. So we don't end up bouncing or doing some other weird Pinocchio leg situation. So tip number 3, really important, just have soft knees all the time. Don't lock your legs unless it's something particular you want to do, and that will definitely help through your basic. My tip number 4, really focus on shifting your weight. Okay, a lot of the times when people dancing, they think they are shifting the weight just because they are changing the leg. But the shift of the weight is not just the change of the leg. The shift of the weight is actually transferring the weight so much that you can lift the other leg and the weight is on the hip. That is the transfer of the weight. So for example, if my legs are together and I'm lifting one leg, my weight is on that leg, but the shift of the weight is not just putting the leg down, it's transferring it onto the hip. That is the shift of the weight. So when you are doing your basic step, every step is a transfer. It's a transfer. It's a transfer. It goes from putting the leg down into the transfer of the hip. You put the leg down and you transfer it into the hip. It's not just lifting the legs, that is not a transfer. It's actually shifting it from the leg into the hip. Now, when the music gets really fast in salsa, you can't go, right? It's too fast for that. But the idea remains that we try, when we're shifting our weight, actually shift from the ball of the foot into the hip as much as possible. 1, 2, 3, shift, 5, 6, 7, shift, 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 shift. You see, I put the leg and then I transfer. I put the leg and then I transfer. To learn that transferring technique is super important, because when you start doing some complicated stuff, that's when that transfer of the weight is supposed to take you naturally through the steps. And if you don't have it, that's when you will feel off balance or slightly confused a lot of the times. If you would like me to spend more time in just giving you exercises for the transferring the weight, leave a comment below and I will definitely make a video. If it's something that you would like, if you feel like you're struggling with the transfer of the weight, just leave a comment and then I will make a video especially for that as well. Okay, I left the last one as the most obvious one. This one probably you have heard it all the time. Do not put the heel down on your back step. The back step is supposed to be a really small step and it's supposed to be on the ball of the foot. Sometimes we do put the heel down, but that's because we are trying to interpret the music and we want to do something specific. But if we are traveling and the music is fast, we don't put the heel down. It's actually safer to dance that way because there's always somebody dancing behind us. So we don't want to put the heel down. And also it helps us to move forward quicker. And we don't want a big back step, it's always underneath. So have a look. We have the basic steps. So instead of going 1, you see heel is down and my leg is quite far away from the other leg and it's out of my body line. So instead I go underneath and I go on the ball of the foot, my first step. If you have high heels, the heel might go down onto the floor. It's hard sometimes to high heels to keep off the floor, but still then you need to focus to have it underneath to make you travel. You never want to extend that leg back every single time you're taking a back step, because it's not pretty and it's not helpful for the traveling. So the back step is always underneath our body. So then it helps us travel forward. And also, it looks a little bit more pretty. It looks like the steps are more controlled and it doesn't look like you're sticking out your bum every single time you're taking that back step. So that is your final tip. Tip number 5, look after that back step. That's it, guys. This is the video for you. I believe it's so important. A lot of the times we rush through the technique and we rush through the moves. We learn so many moves, and then when we get to a particular level, certain things not happening, and then you come to me and you ask, why is it not happening? And then I look at your basic and it's because of your basic. And it's usually that the most important things and the most important technique lies in our basics. This immersion video, all of this technique is just for that one step of yours, and that is the basic mambo step backwards and forwards, and for the followers. So if you work on that technique and you perfect your basic step, I promise you so many other things will be easier. So work on them, leave me comments, let me know how you're getting along, and let me know if you think I missed something about the basic stuff that you think is really important. Remember, whatever you leave in the comments, other people read, so you might be helping me out somebody else as well. In the meantime, subscribe to my channel. We are reaching for those 10,000 subscribers. And now I kiss you and practice, my peoples. Practice.